In 8th grade, section 4.5, we're dealing with solving two-step equations. So, let's read the story problem. You're planning a hot air balloon trip, and the ride costs $125 plus $50 for every hour in the air. So if you're planning a trip, you have to tell people about how much they're going to spend. So in this case, you have $125 you have to pay no matter what for the hot air balloon. But also, it matters on how much you and your friends want to stay in the air. It's going to cost $50 for every hour. So let's say that you go broke at $325. The most that your friends can spend is $325. So how many hours could we spend by doing this? So basically, if it costs $125, you definitely have to pay that. But you also have to pay $50 for every hour. So I have to times 50 by however many hours I have and add that to my 125. But the most I can spend is 325. So here's my equation. Okay? So let's say first I'm going to subtract 125. I'm going to take away the furthest friend from H. So I'm going to subtract 125 and subtract 125. Okay, that gives me, this cancels out, and this gives me 200. Remember, what I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So I have 50H equals 200. I'm going to take away the farthest friend first. So first, do addition and subtraction. Figure out how to get rid of all the addition and subtraction. Then we can focus on multiplication and division. So from here, then I know that I took away the initial cost. So I'll have $50 an hour, but I have $200. So if I divide 50 to see how many 50s are in 200, it gives me how many hours I can spend, which is 4. That means I can go up paying $325, 4 hours. So this is a story problem. I have to do 4 hours, and this is my answer. I can spend 4 hours on there. The second question says about how about if you only wanted to spend 2 hours, how much would it cost you? So in this one, you don't know how much the cost is. Instead of $325, I'm just going to put a C, right? I still pay the initial $125, and I still pay $50 per hour, but I know how many hours in this case. I have 2 hours. Okay? So I do 125 plus 50 times 2, which is 100, equals the cost. And 125 plus 100 is 225 equals C. So that means for 2 hours, it's going to cost me $225. All right? So I have another board where we do multi-step equations. And it's a similar thing. First, I'm going to focus on all the adding and subtracting. I'm going to get rid of those first, and then I'm going to get rid of what's closest to the x, which is the multiplication and division. So look at number 1. What do I get rid of first? Well, I'm going to get rid of 1 by subtracting 1. And again, what I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So I have to subtract 1 from here. I end up, these cancel out, end up with 6x equals 24. Now, from here, then I'm going to do the opposite. 6 is connected to x by multiplication. So the opposite of multiplying is dividing. So I'm going to divide 6 to both sides. I end up with x equals 4. All right? Number 2, as tempting it is to multiply this 3 by, remember 3 by both sides, I need to get rid of addition and subtraction first. Okay? Because in order for me to keep balance, it makes it more complicated if I focus on multiplying 3. So I'm going to subtract 15 first. Okay? Right? So these cancel out because what I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So I'm going to subtract negative 15 on A. Okay? I don't do it to the same side of negative 15. I have to do one on this side of the equal sign and one on this side of the equal sign. So this becomes negative 7, okay? Because you have positive 8 and you subtract 15, you're going to go into negative 7, equals n over 3. So now from here, I'm going to multiply 3 because n is connected to 3 by division. So I'm going to multiply, but what I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So I end up with negative 21 equals n. All right, on number 3, again, I'm going to get rid of things that are addition and subtraction. And in this case, 15 is connected to negative b by a negative sign. So the opposite of negative 15 would be positive 15. So this would be positive 15. Okay, adding positive 15. Negative b comes down because these cancel out. I end up with 59. Okay, this negative can't be there because it doesn't mean it's isolated. So remember, anything that, because there's no letter in front of here, I'm going to assume it's a 1. So if it's being multiplied by negative 1, I just divide by negative 1. These cancel out. And I have to do it to the other side. So I end up with b equals negative 59. Now, number 4 is trying to trick you because what actually you see here are like terms. Negative 9c plus 3c. So before I do any balancing, I can do negative 9 plus 3, which gives me negative 6c. Now, again, remember, the reason why I don't have to do it to the other side is because I'm just combining. I'm not adding or subtracting or multiplying or dividing any extra. I'm just combining what's already there. So that's the only time that I don't have to do it to the other side of the equal sign. And I'm going to bring this 4 down, okay, and then bring the 58 down. Now I can do the other steps, which the farthest, which is by addition and subtraction, is 4, so I'm going to get rid of negative 4. I end up with these cancel out, negative 6c. What I do to one side, I have to do to the other, so if I subtract 4 here, I have to subtract 4 here, giving me 54, okay? And then because negative 6 is being multiplied by c, I have to divide negative c by negative 6. That cancels out, giving me just c. And what I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So 54 divided by negative 6 is negative 9. All right? So go ahead and try this, page 204, numbers 2 and 10. 204, numbers 2 and 10, and I'll see you in class.